Praise Yahuah, brothers and sisters. Praise the Most High, our King, the Sovereign One, the Creator of the universe, the Ancient One of days, the self-existent One, the One who is, was, and is to come, the One to whom there is none to compare, the One who is above all other ones, for He is the Almighty. So His power, He is power, but His power and His majestic ways and His invincibility, He's invincible, is greater than any mighty one. He is above them. His word is final authority over every situation. He can prevent things from happening. He tells us that He opens doors that no man can shut and shuts doors that no man can open. Today, we're going to, it's kind of a hard lesson for me, message for me, and I believe all those who are yearning to please Him and live for Him and live with Him for eternity. Tehillim 128 verse 1 says, Baruch are all those who revere Yahuah and those who walk in His ways. In the month of December, in this month, I hate to even call its name, but in this month, I usually read through the book of Maccabees. I might find, well, it's so written in highlighted. A lot of times I'll just read those parts, but I'll read the book of the Maccabees, or the Maccabees. Because some people use this time to make it a holiday, and I have decided or felt led to only keep the feast days, not the extra things that people do, but on when they're celebrating these other things because of certain situations that have happened and different deliverances that the people of Yah have received, like with Esther, and then this one here, the Feast of Lights or Hanukkah, that's man. Yah didn't tell us to do that. And so what I usually do is I will commemorate it by reading the scriptures on it or something along the line, finding more history or something like that, or maybe not even to that depth. But in this month, I usually will pull out the book of the Maccabees, listen to a few videos on it, because they want to highlight the fact about how the lights in the Hekal was kept lit with just a little bit of oil, I think the story goes. But there's so much more behind that time frame. And so that's what I want to base this audio on, is the Maccabees. So the other day, I was listening to a brother and sister, and they read that a chapter that I'm going to be reading today to you, and it just really, like I said, I do it every December, and I do it because, first of all, to commemorate, but also to charge me to realize that it's not going to be that easy when things flip and the evil one is definitely in full charge. And so that stirred me up when I heard them read of the day, and I just felt led that I needed to do something about that today. So in hearing them read, I knew that it just was a reminder to me. I often know when I think about it that I if something was to happen today, I don't know if I could endure to the end. I want to endure to the end. And I'm hoping, because Yah knows us. Tehillim 103 says He knows us. He knows our frame is of dust. But He also knows those who are commandment keepers. He knows those who love Him. So hopefully in all that He would help. I don't want to be like Peter. Peter was surprised to see that all that boasting that he thought that he would stand, that all they did was just ask him, did he know him? And he denied. They hadn't even put him in shackles or anything, had not even threatened him. And he found himself. But in the end, when he had another opportunity, they say he laid down his life. So to get on into this, I'm going to start with just reading a few verses. Verses from Second Maccabees, chapter 5, and how this leader Andronikos has sent one of his ringleader, Apollyonos, which looks so much like that one where, remember when the in the book of his own, when they say the pit was open and it has Apollyon and Abaddon coming out. Well, his name is spelled pretty much like that. But anyway, so he was a ringleader with an army of 22,000, and he was commanded to slay all those in their prime, and the young men, all them in their prime, and to sell the women and the younger ones. So when he came to Yerushalayim, he came pretending peace, and he waited till the Kodesh day of the Shabbat. When finding the Yehudim keeping a Kodesh day, he commanded his men to arm themselves, and so he slew all those that went to the celebration of the Shabbat, and running through the city with weapons, slew great multitudes. That's low down. But Yahuah Maccabee, which is one of the Maccabees, with about 9 others, withdrew into the wilderness with his army, and lived in the mountains after the manner of beasts, eating plants continually, lest they should be partakers of the pollution. Now I'm going to skip down to chapter 6, verse 9, verse 8. And a decree went out to the neighboring cities of the Gentiles by the word of the leader against the Yahudim, that they should observe the same practice and be partakers of their offerings. And whosoever would not conform themselves to the ways of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then one could see the present misery. For there were 2 women brought, who circumcised their children, whom they had openly led around about the city, the infants hanging at their breasts. They threw them down from the wall. So they threw the children down from a wall. And others that had run together into caves nearby to guard the Shabbat day secretly, being discovered by Philippos, were all burned together, for they would not for conscience defend themselves in honor of the most Kodesh day. Now I plead to those that read this book that they do not be discouraged because of these calamities, but that they consider these punishments not to be for destruction, but for the disciplining of our nation. Okay. In Hazon, chapter 12, verse 11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. The word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So my question to us is, how can we die for him if we won't live for him? And I'm going to ask myself first, because I've been asking myself that since I was reminded of this when I heard watched the video of the day when they were reading this. And if we can't do without food, if we can't do without anything he's telling us to do right now for his name's sake, how are we going to be able to die for him? Because we will think about self. If we're putting our flesh before anything that he's asking us to do, when will the flesh die so that we can do what he's asking us to do? It's a deep order. It really is. And could that be why in MattiYahu 7, when people were asking to come in, and he told them, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, because I never knew you? Because he says they were boasting of how they did this in his name and this in his name. They raised the dead, they healed the sick, they did all these things in his name. But he said, but you did not do the will of the Father. So if we're not doing his will, we cannot expect to come in. This is deep, it's heavy. His own 12. So this is what's going to be happening to us in our time frame. And the dragon was violently angry with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed who keep the commandments of Yahuah. Those are the ones that are considered the remnant, are the ones who keep the commandments of Yahuah, and they have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. So woe to us, but rejoice them in the heavens, because the dragon is gone. But now the dragon's down here where we're at. For the evil one has come down to you, you on the earth and in the sea, but having great rage, because he knows that he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman that had brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. Okay, so Yah is going to help the woman. And the serpent threw out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So that's tests and trials. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood that the dragon cast out of his mouth. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Now I'm going to read you a few verses from MattiYahu 24, Mark 13, and Lucas 21. And they all pretty much are saying the same. But I'm trying to build a case here to show you, to remind you, because I know you know some of these verses, that times are getting ready to be very, very awful for every inhabitant on the earth. Okay. And what are we doing now to prepare ourselves, to deny ourselves? Are we still running to the store every time we want something? Are we, forfeiting a fast that we said we're going to go on because we just got hungry? Are we able to not say something if the Ruach tells us don't speak that, but we speak it anyways for whatever reason? And that's one of my battles, is idle words. And I know most of us, a lot of us have idle words, because the book of James, he tells us that the perfect man is the one who can control his tongue. Very mature person, spiritually matured person. Okay, so MattiYahu 23, beginning with verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the Talmidim came to him privately, saying, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said to them, take heed that no man deceive you. That's the first thing he said. Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am HaMashiach, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. Is that not happening now? For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And let's talk about hurricanes and tornadoes and snowstorms and all these other floodings, right? Are we not seeing that? Okay, that nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom, that may not necessarily mean these different countries, but you figure Yah's kingdom and the evil one's kingdom, the nations that have their mighty ones over them versus our nation of Kodesh, set apart, peculiar people who are for Yah. So it can be seen in different ways. But either way, it's happening in the physical realm, definitely in the spiritual realm. So we're going to see all these calamities in creation, with the famines and pestilence and earthquakes and all the other things I just mentioned, in different places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Listen to this. This will line up with what the Maccabees went through. Well, the story that's in the Maccabees. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Here we're talking about deception again. Is there no wonder there's so much deception in the world today? Look at all the scammers. They have perfected their game and they're still always doing more things. And now they have this deep fake stuff where they'll get somebody's facial face and use it with AI, with their voice. And it's just crazy. So anyway, so deception is at a height that it has never been before. I don't know if we've capped it, if they're going to keep getting better at it, but he said, make sure that we don't be deceived. Then shall they deliver you up and be afflicted and shall kill you. And you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Sin, transgressions are going to be at such a height that nobody's going to love anybody. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Then let them who are in Judea flee into the mountains. So if you're in a city, flee to the mountains. And let him who is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him who is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. So if you have a baby that is a nursing baby, or someone that is pregnant, woe be to you. But ask Yah that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbathah. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So we know it's so because he's already spoken it. The enemy would continue to have a heyday, but he has a limited time. Mark 13, going to say a lot of what I just read in Matthew 24. And Yeshua answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And when you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be you not troubled, for such things must be, but the end shall not yet be. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in synagogues you shall be beaten, and you shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what you shall speak, neither premeditate, but whatsoever shall be given you in that hour that you speak, for it is not you that speak, but the Ruach HaKodesh. So we know it's going to happen because he says they're going to do it. Why? Because we read in Hazon 12, the evil one is after us with a rage, of vengeance, after commandment keepers. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son. And children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. How many times have I said it on these audios? We better know what we know about people. We better know what we know about them. Don't be looking at their title. Or go by that saying, blood's thicker than water. Because first of all, it's not even a true saying. It's not even the true quote. The true quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So people we know that have chosen to be in our lives, we could have a greater covenant relationship with them than those who are of the same DNA. We better know it, because he's already said it, and he said it more than one time in the scriptures, that that's what's going to happen. The father to the son, and children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. Remember, the iniquity is going to be so great that the love of many has waxed cold. There is no love. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And then it goes on to talk about, if you're on the housetop, don't go in and get your stuff, and woe to be them that are with child. So same thing that we've already read. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation that Yahuah created unto this time, neither shall be. So when we think of all of the persecution that has taken place throughout time, all the evil men who've been in place who were horrific in their torturing of people, the time we're getting ready to live through is worse than it has ever been. Is that not an indication that we need to be preparing? And I'm just as human as everyone else, and I find myself getting distracted at times. I find myself falling a little short here and there. And that little that I'm calling myself little, falling short, is huge when you think about eternity. The day is coming that we need to be preparing for. And there's audios on this platform that talk, will you be ready? And different things along that line. To die is gain, and to live is loss, or something like that. But there's several other audios. And again, he says that except Yahuah has shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. So it has been spoken, and it is so. So the 1260 days that he talks about, or is equals to 3.5 years, or 42 months. It's already been stated. It's not going to go any longer than that. Luke 21, and they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall all these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, take heed that you be not deceived. So all three of these writings say that he starts with the same thing. Don't be deceived. For many are going to come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach. And the time draws near. Go not therefore after them. So even if they say, oh, this is the time that was prophesied, no, we better know. We better know the counterfeit. We better know the real so we can know the counterfeit when we see it. So when you hear wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. He talks about the earthquakes and pestilence and everything he did in the other two chapters, other two books. And again, he says, but before all these, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues. Synagogues, brothers and sisters. Synagogues. Oh my. The religious people. And into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Remember in his own it says, but they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Our witnesses, there's an audio on that too about our witnesses. What is our witness? What do we know of him? Do we already know how he's already delivered us, how he's delivered other people? Do we know of his greatness? And that's what's going to help us to stand. So he says, settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before him, which you will answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, that all your adversaries will not be able to gainsay nor resist. And you shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends. Oh my goodness. He ain't leaving nobody out. Can't trust no one. So we better know who's in covenant with Yahuah. And some of you shall they cause to be put to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not a hair of your head perish. In your patience possess your souls. In your endurance. In your being sold out. And when you shall see Yahuah compassed with armies, then know that desolation thereof is nigh. For these are the days of vengeance. All these things that are written must be fulfilled. And then he talks about being with child and what suck, and how that's a woe to those women. For great distress will be in the land, and wrath upon this people. What people? The remnant that his own spoke of, the commandment keepers. Take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall this day come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. No one's going to escape. That's why they're going to be turning us in, because everyone's going to be trying to save save themselves. Watch you therefore and pray always. Request always that you be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Hazon 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things that you shall suffer. Behold, the evil one shall throw some of you in prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be faithful to death, and I will give you a crown of life. So in Hazon is confirming what was already spoken in MattiYahu 24, Marcus 13, and Lucas 21. He says it's going to happen. The evil one's going to have us thrown into prison. And if we are the ones thrown into prison, remember it's 10 days. He's already spoken 10 days. It's not going to be 11 days. It's not even going to be 10 and a half days. 10 days. So endure. Be faithful to death, and I will give you a crown of life. So this is also letting us know that those who go to prison are going to die. But be faithful, and he's going to give us a crown of life, those who go in. Hazon 3, because you have kept the word of my patience, you've endured, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation that shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And it was spoken up here that it's going to be a snare to all the inhabitants of the world. So these things are happening. They're going to come. They're going to happen. And it's coming on the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no man take your crown. So it's coming to test us. All we've been talking, boasting that we got. We're commandment keepers. We keep the law. We keep the Shabbat. We do all this. Okay, all right. There's a time coming to test all that. There's a time coming to test all that. Yes, there's a time coming to test all that. Tehillim 119, verse 46 through 50. I will speak of your testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. And I will delight myself in your commandments that I have loved. My hands also will I lift up unto your commandments that I have loved, and I will meditate in your statutes. Remember the word unto your servant. Upon that you have caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for your word has given me life. So we're asking Yah to remember the word that you've given to me, because I depend on that. It has caused me to look to you and expect and to know, be assured that you're true to your word. It has given me high life. Now I'm going to go back to the book of Maccabees, and I'm going to read this account of this family. 2 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 1. And it also came to be that 7 brothers with their mother were taken and compelled by the sovereign against the law to eat pig's flesh, and were tortured with scourges and whips. But one of them that spoke first said, What would you ask or learn from us? We are ready to die, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. Brothers and sisters, are we there? We'll die rather than transgress the laws of our fathers. Then the sovereign, becoming enraged, commanded pots and cauldrons to be heated. These promptly being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of he that spoke first, and to cut off the outer parts of his body, and the rest of his brothers and his mother were looking on. Now when he was mutilated in this way over his entire body, he commanded him while still alive, he was still alive, brothers and sisters, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the cauldron. And as the smoke of the cauldron spread wildly, they encouraged one another with their mother to die bravely, saying, Yahuah Aluah watches over us, and in truth has compassion on us. As Musa spoke in his song, the witness to their faces, saying, and he has compassion on his servants. So when the first had died in this manner, they brought the second to make him a mockery. And when they had pulled off the skin from his head with the hair, they scalped him. They asked him, Will you eat before you are tortured over every part of your body? But he answered in his own language and said, No. Therefore he also received the next torture in turn as the former had, the former brother. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, In wrath you remove us from this present life, but the sovereign of the world shall raise us up, he who have died for his laws unto everlasting high. After him the third was made a mockery, and when demanded, he immediately put out his tongue and held out his hands bravely and said courageously, These I had from the Shamayim, and for his laws I despised them, and from him I expect to receive them again. Therefore that sovereign and those that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, that he regarded the pains as nothing. Now when this man was also dead, they tortured and mutilated the fourth in a similar way. So when he was ready to die, he said, It is good to be put to death by men, to look for expectancy from Aluah, to be raised up again by him. As for you, you shall have no resurrection to hide. Afterward they brought the fifth also and mutilated him. Then he looked up at the sovereign and said, You have power over men. You are corruptible. You do what you want, yet you do not think that our nation is forsaken by Aluah. You have power over men. You are corruptible. You do what you want, yet do not think that our nation is abandoned by Aluah. That was 5 of them. But wait a while and see his great power, how he will distress you and your seed. After him they also brought the sixth, who being ready to die said, Do not be deceived by any means, for we suffer these matters because of ourselves having sinned against our Aluah. Therefore great matters are done to us. But do not think, you who takes in hand to strive against Aluah, that you shall escape unpunished. Oh my. So they spoke boldly even before they were, which probably even brought more rage on the executioners. But the mother was greater above all and worthy of honorable remembrance. For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the space of 1 day, she bore with good courage, because of the expectancy that she had in Yahuah. You know what? I know most women today, they love their children to death, they call it. They love their children so much. They love their children more than Yahuah. Look at this, sisters. Look at this, fathers. She bore with good courage because of the expectancy that she had in Yahuah. She also encouraged every one of them in her own language. Filled with a courageous spirit, Ruah, and stirring up her womanly thoughts with a brave face, she said to them, I cannot tell you how you came into this womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, nor was it I that formed the members of every one of you. But without doubt, the creator of the world, of the earth. He didn't create the world. The world is a world system created by the evil one. But without doubt, the creator of the earth, who formed the generation of man and revealed the beginning of all, will also give you of his own kindnesses, his breath and high again, as you disregard now your own beings for the sake of his laws. Now while the youngest was still alive, Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, did not only encourage him with words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and Baruch man if he would turn from the laws of his fathers, and that he would also accept him as his friend and trust him with affairs. But when the young man would in no way listen to him, the sovereign called his mother and encouraged her that she would counsel the young man to save his life. And when he had encouraged her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she bound herself towards him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spoke in her nation's language in this way, O my son, have pity on me, who bore you 9 months in my womb, and gave you 3 years, and nourished you, and brought you up to this age, and endured the troubles of teaching. So this last one was only 3 years old. Please, my son, look on the Shamayim and the Arets and all that is in them, and consider that Aluah made them from that was not, and so was mankind made likewise. Do not fear this torturer, but being worthy of your brothers, accept your death, that I may receive you again in kindness with your brothers. While she was still speaking these words, the young man said, Whom do you wait for? I will not obey the sovereign's command, but I will obey the command of the law that was given to our fathers by Musa. And you, who has been the author of the evil against the Ibram, shall not escape the hands of Aluah. For we suffer because of our sins, And although the living Aluah is wrought with us for a little while for our own discipline and correction, yet he shall be at one again. He shall be at one again with his servants. But you, O wicked man, and of all others most evil, do not be lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain expectancies, lifting up your hand against the servants of Aluah. For you have not yet escaped the judgment of Yahuah Shaddai, who sees all. For our brothers who now have suffered a short pain are dead under Aluah's covenant of everlasting high. But you, through the judgment of Aluah, shall receive righteous punishment for your pride. But I, as my brothers, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, pleading to Aluah that he would speedily be kind to our nation, and that you, by torture and plagues, may confess that he alone is Aluah. And that in my brothers and I, the wrath of the Almighty that is brought upon our nation may cease. Then the sovereign, being enraged and taking seriously how he was mocked, treated him worse than all the rest. He treated that little baby, that 3-year-old, worse than the rest. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in Yahuah. Last of all, the mother died after the sons. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast and the extreme tortures. And truth be told, and more people are learning the truth of Thanksgiving. It was similar. Do your research. Evil men. 2 Timothy 2. Therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahuah. No man that wars entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who chose him to be a soldier. And if a man also strives for masteries, can only be crowned if he strives lawfully. So even in this world, we have to do things lawfully to be crowned. No matter what the award is, the fastest runner, the best speller, whatever it is. It is a faithful saying that if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. MattiYahu 10. And fear not them who kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, the being, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father knowing? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess before my Father who is in the Hashamayim. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father who is in Hashamayim. Tahalim 56. Be merciful unto me, O Yahuah, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresses me. My enemies will swallow me up daily. For they be many that fight against me, O Most High. What time I am afraid, I will trust in you. In Yahuah I will praise his word. In Yahuah I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do to me. Every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my being. In Yahuah will I praise his word. In Yahuah will I praise his word. In Yahuah I have put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. Your vows are upon me, O Yahuah. I will render praises to you. For you have delivered my being from death. Will you not deliver my feet from falling, that I may walk before Yahuah in the light of the living? His vows are upon us. He's a covenant-keeping Father. Looking back at Maccabees, And those young men, I don't know how old they were, but if the one was, his mother said, let me find that. His mother said, "Oh, my son, have pity on me, who bore you 9 months in my womb and gave you 3 years and nourished you and brought you up to this age." So I don't know how it was, but if she gave him 3 years, and if he went through, if he were slaughtering the men by their ages, then the last one could have been very young. So I'm thinking none of them were that old, because he said those that were in their prime, those brave men, brave young men. One of them said, so when he was ready to die, he said, "It is good to be put to death by men, to look for the expectancy from Aluah, to be raised up again by him. As for you, you shall have no resurrection to hide." Then they brought the 5th one, and he looked at the sovereign and said, "You have power over men. You are corruptible. You do what you want, but yet do not think that our nation is abandoned by Aluah. But wait a while and see his great power, how he will distress you and your seed." So they were bold. And the mother, to watch 7 of her sons mutilated, and she stood strong. In closing, I'll read again. MattiYahu 10, "And fear not them who kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. If we suffer with him," in 2 Timothy, "we shall reign also with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us." 2 Timothy 3:12, "All who live righteously and set apart for Yahuah shall suffer persecution. Evil men and seducers shall increase worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue in all things that you have learned and have been assured of." Tehillim 119, verse 49, "Remember the word unto your servant, that you have caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for your word has given me high." Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, and though I read it every year, I never get used to realizing the depths of evil that men can be. They give themselves over to the evil one in such great allegiance. And so we ought to be given the great one, the almighty one, the sovereign, the most high, our very creator, the same allegiance. And so that's what I'm working on. And yet it's not at the magnitude that it needs to get. And once again, I'm going to say, we cannot be loving people so much that when it comes time to make a decision, we choose wrong. And if they were to say, "I'm taking your child and I'm going to kill them in front of you," and we cannot say, "No, okay, I'll serve you. I'll eat the pig. I'll eat the swine flesh. I'll drink the blood of the swine. I'll drink any blood. Just don't kill my child." Oh, we can't do it. We can't do it. We have to know that Yah is faithful, and that child's going to be fine. I saw a video once. I had it saved too, but I don't know where I saved it at now. But this man had a dream that he and his wife had been imprisoned for the sake of righteous living. And so he told the story about how the dream was, and the dream was so real to him. And so long story short, because I don't remember it all, but his wife was killed first. And then when it was his time, he was so broken. to see that happen to her. But they didn't deny, what they believed in. When it was his time, he said that I don't think they beheaded him or they shot him. I think shot him in the head. But it was like he didn't even feel it. Yah had already taken him out of his body by the time it happened. And so I'm just saying that to encourage us that could even be the case. Because what does it mean that if we live in such a way that we can ask him ask us to be ask him that we could be accounted worthy to escape the things that are coming upon the face of the earth? What does that actually mean? Will we not have to be here when stuff is happening? When it's been said several times that what's coming is to test us and to try us. But every human on this earth is going to be tested and tried. So is that what that means? That we'll escape the things that have come, that body that they'll be mutilating and finding pleasure and thinking that they're destroying and bringing pain to us, that our ruach would actually not even be in the body, that we won't even feel it while they're getting their vicious pleasure. I don't know. I just know that we got to get to the place that we really love Yahuah and we really love his laws and we really believe everything that he's told us. And that's where I've got to get. I'm going to talk to me. I got to get there, that I love Yahuah without a doubt. And my love for him would be, oh, you want me to fast 3 days? Okay. Or you don't want me to, do this, or, oh, the law says we can't do that. Oh, okay. No problem. No problem. I'm glad to have the new knowledge, and I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to try to find a way out of it and try to skate and compromise. And nope, if that's what you say, that's what I'm going to do. Reading that and hearing. And then one of the brothers, when it was his turn, he went ahead and stuck his tongue out for them because he already knew that they were cutting out their tongues. He just stuck his tongue out and his arms. Like, okay, you're going to mutilate me, take my arms off. You're going to cut off all my outer parts, and you're going to take my tongue. I'm just going to come up to you and just do it. Stick my tongue out to you. That's brave. That's sold out. Are we sold out? And I'm going to tell you, the ones who are least likely to be sold out, the majority of us are in this western part of the world. They want to call the other parts of the world the third world countries. Those people have had hard times all their lives. They've known how to sacrifice. They've known how to make little be much. We have had it so good. We have had it so good. And y'all was kind to tell us in MattiYahu and in Marcus and in Lucas to request that our flight be not in the winter or on the Sabbath. Can you imagine in the winter you're running, you don't have a coat because you heard the troops coming, you knew you had to run. Y'all says run. And it's wintertime out there. What if you just got out the shower? What if you're hardly dressed, don't have shoes, and it's wintertime? So that's something we should be doing. If you're like me, every once in a while, I'll read through there and see those things. And it's been a while since I've done it. And put those things, for the things that he's saying are coming, put it before him. Father, don't let my family be one of those that we turn on each other. Don't let it be my family. May it be that my entire family, the children that I birth and their children, that we all will be for you, and that we will not betray one another. May it not be that I have to run for my life, but I be among those that be a part of the woman that the earth will help. That I'll be where I need to be. So anyway, just something to think about. And are we ready? Can we really lay down our lives? If we live righteously and set apart, we ought to know we're going to be suffering persecution. We need to remember that in order to reign with him, we're going to have to suffer with him. In his own, it talks about those who are going to be reigning with him. We got to endure hardness as a good soldier. Brothers and sisters, until next time, stay encouraged. And may we all start exercising, getting that strength, that spiritual strength. May He increase our inner man, strengthen our inner man with might and power from His Ruah on the inside of us. May we realize more and more that we're not a part of this world, that we really are striving to be one with Him. And remember the petition that Yahushua said in Yohanan 17, that we're in the world, we're not of the world. Keep us from the world. Know who we are in Him. He ends that, I think it's that chapter, maybe 16, where he says that He has deprived the world from being able to harm us. But those are those who are in Yahuah, who are one in Him. There's so much to do, so much. Listen, there's one audio on We Win that talks about preparing for the trip, and I don't remember the titles because there are so many audios now, but it's talking about preparing for the trip. When we're preparing for a trip, depending on what type of packer you are. Some people pack early, like a few days early, and they're putting things in as the days go by, and they know it, and then they double check, and then they'll look and say, well, I guess I really don't need that. They check the weather to their destination and say, well, the temperature is going to be pretty good, but I better at least take a sweater or a light jacket, or I better do this or do that. We better be preparing for our trip. Remember, the bride is making herself ready. Let's be among those who are going to be able to wear that fine white linen. May we seek Him for more and more strength to lay aside every weight and transgression that so easily besets us, and help us not to be entangled again with the affairs of this life. I love you, brothers and sisters. Oh my. We already see signs that we're headed that way. And He said those are just signs that we're headed that way. So it's getting closer and closer every day. It's drawing more and more nigh. It's getting closer. It's getting nearer and nearer. Until next time. I know I keep saying that, but until next time we come together. Stay strong in Yahuah. And let's shun this world more and more. Let's not be caught up with the cares of this life, with the drinking and marrying and making merry and everything they're doing. Stay encouraged, be encouraged, and stay in the state of courage. Look at the courage it took for them. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's not the absence of fear. We may be afraid while we're being courageous, but it is the resistance to fear. We don't let fear take us over. And we master the fear. We master the fear by trusting in Him. And we resist the fear by loving Him more than we love our lives, more than we even love pain, more than we even fear. Stay in the state of courage. And remember, check out these relationships we have with people. We better know what we may not know it. That's why we're messing up. But we better start looking at things a little bit different. We win in Yah. We always win in Yah. When we look to Him, we trust in Him, we lean on Him, and we rely only on Him.